which can look after its community, the community is constantly falling short. You know, a child looks at his parents for guidance. And I suppose we as people look at our governments for guidance. And I think this is where you would maybe coming from, if I've read you right, that the government has to give guidance. It can't resolve everything. And we make up the government. I'm not too sure if the people of Pakistan at the moment, or even other parts of the countries, are making up that government, because the government in Pakistan is created through feudalism. Unless you are a businessman or a feudal lord, you can't actually fight the elections. But I agree with you, sister, that culturally we do not allow the voices to be heard. हम उसमें उर्दू में मैं आपसे बता कह रही हूँ कि वो लफ्ज़ जो है इज़्ज़त का I remember dealing with few cases where a woman has been beaten and she has gone to the imam and said, "Bhai, do something, कुछ करो." तो उन्होंने वो भी बेचारे क्या कर सकते थे, उन्होंने कहा कि भाई आप घर वापस जाएं, इज्जत का सवाल है, और पिटें, आप घर में बैठ के पिटते रहें, मगर इज्जत नहीं कहीं जाएगी. So I think that needs to be challenged too.
And you know why that is allowed? Because in some cultures, some families, some tribes, domestic violence, whatever type it is, it's allowed. They think it's acceptable. They think it's justified. Many families, my personal side, my background, I shouldn't say that on TV, but who cares? Since I was very young, I have witnessed domestic violence through our own families, and it's never going to stop until women stand up for themselves and say,
How, sister, how do you expect a woman who is beaten black and blue every day, how do you expect her to say no more?
If they say no more, it will never stop. Somebody have to break that cycle of violence.
How?
Somebody have to take a step forward. Obviously, there are reluctant people, and we call ourselves reluctant. We can change the situation. We are the only people who can change the situation. And I'm sure if one person stand up, the next stand up, there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, and it will become a group. At the moment, we are all agreeing with if we say they are reluctant, how long they're going to be reluctant for? How long they're going to be, majburi kab finish hogi? And that is why people have to realize women need to be educated, they need to have independence. If they're financially self-sufficient, they're not depending on other people. I'm not saying forget your family and just say I'm independent and I'm going to have a entirely separate life and I will be the boss. With respect of your husbands, with respect of your brothers and your fathers, you have to realize you are you. I am a person, I'm a human being. Everybody knows in the world, we all want it to be love. We all want to have respect. We all want to be valued. Where is our value? If we all saying she's reluctant, where is her value?
It's difficult.
Where is she?
Yeah, it is. No, you're absolutely.
She's lost somewhere. Her identity is lost somewhere.
What I'm hearing from you and what I'm hearing from both of you is that ultimately communities, women, communities have to stand up and speak up. You talked about a press conference that you had in Rochdale. Eventually they decided they have to stand up. They have to address it. Rather than allowing the media to address the situation for them, they must address it. Let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum, brother Saeed from London.
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम वालेकुम अस्सलाम
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सईद भाई.
आपका topic is a beautiful topic. Okay.
Jazakallah khair.
First of all, I would like to say, whoever follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companion and his all, they will never go wrong. Today, men and the women, they are both going away from that route that line. Reason, we are money-making people now. We are just looking after the money's sake. Women, they want to have a fashion. Men, they want to have a fashion. There's totally different fashion, okay? But, tell you the truth, the Prophet ﷺ says, love your wife dearly. Love your wife dearly, okay? Allah will give you more risk, more everything. The woman should obey the husband, which is Prophet ﷺ says, if there is granted to the woman, she obey and she make a sajda, prostration to the husband. Those husbands who they have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who they making rizq halal, who they giving their wife love and affection. These days, everybody just their own way is selfishness, you put this way. Second, the biggest issue at the moment, if the one girl educated, she won't have the heart of fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She have the heart of that education. Oh, well, look, I'm so much proud.
Let me stop you right there, Saeed Bhai. I think an educated woman, an educated mother, becomes an educated mother, and an educated mother, you know, is the first university of a child. So I'm not too sure whether educated woman is sort of an ogre. I think an educated woman, but I suppose what you're saying is what kind of education?
No, I just like to say, let me complete my word. Educated woman, she is educated for dunya. She is educated for this world. She is supposed to educate for deen. Once the deen she has it, with the dunya, she is the best education mother, she is the best school, she is the best college, she is the best university for the child.
Very kind.
For the human, for the husband, for the house.
No, you're absolutely right. Brother Saeed, Jazakallah khair, Assalamu alaikum. He's made some good points. But, you know, English language is very limited. It's a very limited. You know, it worries me when you talk about obey. And if you look at the Arabic, he conveyed, you know, that good Muslim people, yes, of course, there's no doubt about it. But I have certain issues with the semantics.
I'd like to say one thing regarding the call. He mentioned when a woman is educated, she will only think of her degrees. I believe if you educate one woman, you will have educated the entire family. The generation. When she is going to bring children in the world, she is educated, so she can show them the right path.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, the education is very important, and I think we need to understand. And it's so difficult to, you know, you need educated women. When we talk about education, we're talking about the holistic, deen or dunya. I think we're talking about both. It's impossible. You know, I mean, no, I mean, I don't really want to say this live on TV, but, you know, I believe I'm reasonably educated, but I don't think I'm such an awful person, you know, and you're educated. And
I'm not female.
we're going to have to say, you're educated father, you know, you're a good kid.
Thank you very much.
Live on TV. But Majid, seriously, can we assume that talking about what happened in Rochdale with reference to the press conference, what's the next step? Where are we going with that? Having a press conference was good. What's the work? What's the outcome?
I mean, the panelists who were on there, I was also keen to see what they're going to offer. And what they discussed was a few key points. Number one was to have more open days, whether it's in masjids or whether it's events that they stage for non-Muslims, because there's this whole confusion about religion and you know what are the Islamic social religious values. I mean, it's definitely not messing around with girls. It's definitely not piling them with alcohol and giving them drugs and making them view unnecessary material. It's definitely not that. So what is it then? Okay, so that's the first thing there about maybe opening up mosques and centres and holding events which are like exhibition style, and people are invited as well as the Muslim community to come in and explore what Islam is all about. They also had the taxi association there as well, So one of the heads was the one who was leading the press conference. What he mentioned is that they will have literature in their taxis to give out to people. So to non-Muslims, the indigenous population, whilst they are hiring the taxis for their service, to give them a leaflet or maybe like a pack or something which they can read about and get more information about Islam itself. Because obviously they are under the spotlight. It's taxi drivers specifically, and also we've got restaurant workers as well. These are the kind of the two areas which the grooming scandal has focused on, what they call the night economy. And therefore it's really a case of these people leading some of the activities as well.
One of the things the sister has, she's not denied the fact that we don't have domestic violence. She's not denied the fact that we don't have human trafficking. She's not denied the fact that we don't have sexual abuse. Okay? Do I find, are we in certain male company still in denial? Do we still have that feeling that doesn't really happen in our community?
No, I think what happened is that nobody's in denial about this issue. Because obviously the guys have been jailed, they've gone through a court case, there's people who have given evidence against them, okay, and they are convicted of their crimes. What the Muslim community wanted to focus on is, look, it's first of all, it's not an ethnicity related problem. Because if we look at
hold it right there. The people who have been arrested, there's some people that have been arrested in Bristol. They are Somalians.
That's
okay,
right, that was
all right.
News, yeah.
There were 6 or 7 that have been arrested. The fact is that majority of these people come from a, not maybe ethnic, but certainly from a faith perspective, haven't they?
But there's many other cases. This is the thing. What happens is the media likes to micro-analyze information rather than macro-analyze it. If you go for the macro-analysis, you will find report after report after report, and even the Afzal Khan, who was leading on this case.
CPS?
Yes. He himself in many statements, even a year and a half, 2 years back when this whole issue was spilled out in the media, he mentioned, look, it's not that Asians have a monopoly over this issue. In this particular case, yes, it's happened. But if you look at in generality, you get example after example after example. I mean, only this week we were hearing about an MP coming out saying that he was abused within Parliament in the 70s and the early 80s. And how many programs have we seen where people are one by one coming out against Jimmy Savile, against Rolf Harris, against this person, against that person? This problem is endemic. And who's leading this? Is it Asian people or isn't?
But the point is...
Therefore, we're not in denial. This is the thing. We're saying put it into context at least. We know that these people have committed the crime. However, nobody said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before committing the action. So how is it faith related? Did they take the name of God before doing this action? No, they didn't. By association, they were Muslim. But the actions, like I said, drinking alcohol, drugs, sexual abuse, rape, filming this. Okay, when has that become part of Islam? Anybody with an ounce of sense inside them who studies Islam will realize, you know what, this is absolute nonsense. This cannot be faith related. And the guys who did this crime, it was in the capacity as a sexual predator. And a sexual predator doesn't have any faith, doesn't have any ethnicity. They look out for opportunities. And that's what 95% of the other cases, or 98% of other cases, which involve people from other communities, primarily white, they are sexual predators. And that's the way the whole case should be viewed. But when you start promoting something which is ethnicity related or faith related, what we're worried about now is a backlash. When a woman walks on the streets, oh, you're part of that community, your men folk do this, don't you? Right, okay, we're going to try on you now. It's payback time. No, we don't want these reprisals. And therefore, in that frame, this press conference took place, and the organisers are going to applaud them because I think they hosted it fantastically.
So where are we going from there? What I'm saying is that's great. I agree. I totally agree with you. Where do we go from there? We've had a press conference. We've said that this is not acceptable, and you cannot demonize the whole community. Where do we go? Where are we moving to? What's the next step?
I mean, a few things that I mentioned is exhibitions for non-Muslims, as well as Muslims, educating them about Islam and the rules of Islam, and how the crimes that were being committed were nothing to do with the Islamic faith whatsoever. What does Islam stand for? Number 2, all the backlash that we got, whether it was the English Defence League, whether it is Britain's First, do you really believe in these?
But we're not...
As well as mainstream politicians as well, who buried their heads in the sand and said, look, this is an Asian problem, and it's linked to Pakistani culture. I'd like to see those people again now come out in the limelight now and say the same thing as well now, because they haven't got a foot to stand on.
Majid, that's great. You are educating people about Islam, okay? Sensible people do not believe Islam is the problem. They don't. And in fact, I'll be very honest with you, the people who may have thought, realize this is nothing to do with Islam. Are we addressing the situation why these men